Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of our JCI United podcast. I am Lakshmi, the Leo for JCI United, and with me here today is a very special guest from the JCI Finland, Anni Rasinen, who is the National Communications Officer. Join me, everyone, in welcoming Anni to our show. Welcome, Anni.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks for the invite. It's great.
Nice to be here with you too. I'm quite excited because I'm also part of the communication. It will be good to hear from the National Communications Officer. So before we start, let's have a short introduction about Anni. And I think it's best if Anni tells about her.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Anni Rasinen, and I've been at JCI since 2009. So it's been quite a few years. And of course, over those years, I've gotten the chance to do a lot of different things. Maybe some highlights were, of course, my presidency of my local chapter, JCI Central Park, in 2015. So that was really like the first throw into the deep end of leadership in this voluntary context, and very challenging but very rewarding year. So I'll always remember that year. Then later, I've been in the local organization leading our really big project, which was a national election conference in 2018. So that was a really big project, and I had a quite big team from my chapter. Of course, there was a lot of marketing communications involved there as well, but everything else too. So quite a challenging project. And after that, I was really interested in understanding still more on how these big events are organized, but then from the communications and marketing perspective. And I joined the JCI Estonia for their World Congress marketing team, and I was involved there. And that was also to me very rewarding, because I got to meet a lot of people from Estonia, gave me a new perspective to our neighbor country, which I don't know that well. Now I know a bit better, so it was really nice. And then, of course, on this, big marketing effort for this World Congress, so super interesting there. And after that, I was still thinking that, okay, this communications is so interesting, so why not, try to get to do that in JCI Finland level. And last year, then I was also in the national communications team as kind of the second in command person. So supporting Mari last year. And then I applied for this position. I somehow last year I got this feeling that, yes, I know what we should do, and I want to get a chance to do this, and try to improve and help as much as I can. And then I applied and I was elected, and now I've been doing this for 4 months now. So it's been quite a ride. And JCI is super interesting because I'm not a communications professional at work. So I'm a data professional, and I'm like operating manager of Fiskars data analytics. And of course, I do work with our marketing and communication and all those other departments, but from another perspective. So really, this is the power of JCI, that you get to do and try and learn different roles. And actually, I think you should even don't do what you do at work, do something different, because then you learn and you grow, and it's really interesting.
I totally agree with your last point, because I am an engineer by profession, definitely nothing to do with communication. But handling this communication has given me a lot new perspective. I think for me, at least from the chapters level, like the basic communication we do is internal communication within the chapter, and also for outside, showing what our chapter is for the outside members. So in that way, it's helped me to develop these two perspectives. So if you're a JCI person, how do you see this? And if you're a non-JCI person, how do you see this? And like somehow they say this communication is the key for a lot of stuff. So upholding it is a big task, and learning that has been quite a ride.
Yes. I think like leadership is mostly about communication even, and the field of communication in JCI is quite broad, like you said. So you have to consider the internal side and the external side, and you don't always get to do like that many things. So definitely, yes. It's very good position.
Yeah, and I think it's also like testing on the go. So you just jump into the water and start learning to swim.
Yep.
And also you have room to make mistakes and learn from it. I think which usually doesn't happen at the professional level, because
Mhm.
I think for some reason you are scared to make mistakes at your professional level.
Yeah, and the expectation is different. So yeah, that's definitely one strength, that you can fail and it's okay. I mean, if you fail at work, there can be consequences, maybe bigger ones than here. So in that sense, it's great, because failures do teach you a lot, even though they're very painful, but they teach you. So
Uh, But it's a very strong and dynamic introduction. So here's my next question. So having all those positions, did it help you or make your task easier for the national communication officer position?
yeah, definitely. Of course, you can kind of jump into the deep end and, quite quickly, for example, after being chapter president, apply for these positions. And it's okay, you have maybe different perspective, but I feel like because I did all of this, I have really good basic understanding of this organization, different levels of it, how things work, how can I actually get some things done. Otherwise, maybe I would need to spend quite some time trying to understand before I can do anything. But now I had very clear steps in my head that, okay, this is how we need to do it, and this is how we get things done. So it's a great help if you have experience in this organization in different levels and different angles, because
Mm-hmm.
chapter perspectives need to be chapter perspective. You are thinking about one organization, but when you step outside, it can be a regional position, or if you work in a project that touches a lot of people, suddenly you need to understand everybody else's perspective, and there are different perspectives. We have such different chapters in Finland, different situations, different needs, all kinds of different things, and you need to start to think about all of this. So yeah, it helps a lot.
Okay. So now that you were talking about different positions and different perspectives which help in development, so how would you explain communications for people who are not actually aware of communications? I'm thinking of the right words. For any JCI person, how would you say what happens in the communication office, or what what is the structure of the communications?
Well, like you mentioned that you are running the communications in the local chapter, so you already have pretty similar responsibilities to me, except the scope is that local
Mm-hmm.
organization. So there's a saying that communications always fails, but I don't think it's true. It's a really silly expectation to set. So you say that brain surgery always fails. No, like it's a matter of kind of practicing and following some kind of maybe best practices. You can get training, you can get help, support, and things like that. So you, as a communications person, you have to then consider that who are my target audiences, like you mentioned, and there are typically several. There in the Finnish scope, we have like, I don't know, 5, 6 different target audiences, and then you have
Mm-hmm.
to think, what do I need to be able to kind of handle? What kind of messaging is this? Giving out information, or is it actually, do we want to communicate, 2 ways kind of a thing? Are we wanting to do some social media engagement stuff, or is it just, here is your information newsletter, please take a look in my things? And these both have roles, they are important. And then it might be that under communications there is also some kind of digital tools, like how to use Teams, or you have to train somebody to do something else. So there is a lot of topics in communications, and what you do in local chapter, we do in the national level as well, and then maybe a couple of more things. So it's quite an umbrella of things.
Okay. So, um, well, yeah, a little. You said a little more, but I think a little more is a lot. So now that we are talking about the national organization being an umbrella for the local organization, would you like to talk something about the national organization, or how it is organized, or some kind of insights into it?
Yeah, I remember when I was an new member in the chapter, I didn't even maybe know that there is a national organization, or didn't care. It wasn't important. I was like, somebody, maybe I knew that there are other chapters, but really my focus was the local people, the local activities, and that's fine. It's totally wonderful. It's great to be with your, friends there and doing things. But I think there is also an important role for these different levels. So in JCI Finland, we have the local chapters, and we have like a regional organization and the Finnish level, and all of them have a little bit different task. But it's really obvious only to presidents, in my opinion, because the chapter presidents represent the chapter in these different levels, and then they kind of see what is supported, what to they get from different levels. And it's maybe a bit of shame as well, but I don't know. Well, it is what it is. But us, so then in the national organization, of course, we wouldn't exist if there were not the chapters. So it's our task to kind of help out as much as possible, because maybe one chapter does not have, it's only maximum, what are the biggest chapters in Finland? 120 people plus senators plus something like that. But we can say, as a national organization, we represent 5,000 JCs, like senators and all that. So that is already much bigger number that makes it easier potentially to negotiate partnerships or kind of make some kind of centralized purchases or whatever, if we think that it will help all of the chapters. So the idea is that the national level needs to consider the entire field. And then sometimes one chapter thinks that this is not okay for them because they're looking it from their angle, but we always have to think through the entire field, that is every chapter equal? Are we supporting in an equal manner? For example, giving out these, there's this JCI Finland Foundation, for example. So who is this going to against what criteria and things like that? So there's a lot we can support chapters with, and communications is the same. So in my field, we are looking after the digital tools, for example. So these Teams and all the other tools that we have, we have to think about the whole brand of JCI Finland. And unfortunately, it often manifests itself in a way that the national organization came and complained about my logo. It's like, ooh, sorry, I don't do that to be mean or any like annoying nitpick. It's just a matter of, branding comes from repeat, and it has to be the same what you repeat. So this, I have this, I don't, if you can see the little corner, corner, that's our new branding, and we would like to see that lot everywhere, because if we repeat, then people will start to recognize it. So and then the logo, we would just want the people to use it in a certain way, exact certain way, because of this. And it's not to be mean or anything like that. So, well.
Yeah, the moment I saw that background, I'm like, okay, for the next podcast, I need something like this. But then I'm waiting from I think I had the Leo meeting last week, and I got to know that we are going to get those semicircle logos for each chapter. So I'm waiting for that to make something like that.
Yes, exactly. We want to get that done in April now. So yeah, in that way we can help. So we can try to make it a bit easier for you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Branding does help, and the colors, I think, now that I'm so used to white and blue, so anywhere I see white and blue, I'm like, okay, this belongs to JCI.
Yeah, exactly. And then like the maybe third thing that we do as national organization is, of course, like try to give you best practices, try to give you some material that's ready and helpful, and then support, answer questions, or organize trainings or things like that, especially for the board members of different chapters. So that's one thing as well. So
okay, so now we are talking about the umbrella chapter, JCI Finland, which is our national chapter, and they have to be fair to all the local chapters. And then you said some chapters see in their perspectives, and they are like, hey, why are you doing this to us? So I have two questions at this point. How can chapters get help from the national chapter? And the second question is, what are the difficulties the national organization faces when they're dealing with all the chapters at the same time or at the same level?
Well, help is always there. Actually, I think we almost wish that we got more requests, but it's okay. Like, of course, it's also learning point to solve your problems yourself and all that. But if you can turn to any member of JCI Finland board, of course, we have different areas of responsibility. So if it's communications, you can turn to me, and it might be that I will point you to somebody else, but at least I should know where I can point you to, for example. And then, of course, there's the regional level. Similarly, there is communications person there. There is, salesperson. There's different roles. So also it's possible to turn to those as well. So it's up to you, kind of, how do you feel like it. But we can always help, answer, or point to you to some direction that will give you the answers. So definitely, really, really nice. And actually, it feels nice that it sounds like somebody is interested, and we can help because we really want to help, then you asked about like
difficulties when you're looking at the chapters in the same level.
Yeah, it is a bit like sometimes we have to say no to some chapter, for example, and it might be hard for them to understand why, but then we can reason that it has to be a certain way because of this equality, for example. So we cannot give you something or promise you something or do something just for you. If it's really just for you, we have to consider that we need to be supporting everybody, for example. So there can be some conversations that need to happen in those situations, I would say. And then, like, I don't know, I would like the chapters and even already members, if they even know we exist, to really know that we are here for you, here for everybody, and we sometimes need to make decisions that you are like, why? But there is always the same logic behind it. So we want to look after everybody. And it's not us being mean or us being us. We are all the same, in my opinion.
I think people can resonate because when you look at your personal lives or your professional lives, we are all at some point in those situations. You're supposed to say no, or like say that's not happening because that's not fair. But yeah, it takes time at that heat of the moment, the mindset. But it should be fine. And I was thinking what I should ask next, and I forgot. It was from one of the reference. But yeah, here's the next question. So since we are talking about communications, getting help from the chapters, or the chapters asking for help to the national board, would you like to highlight on the main themes of communication for this year? I remember we had different campaigns. One was for the Finnish Friendship Day, and then we have the national competitions where we have the brand colors and the brand material which all the chapters can access. So what are the other themes of communication?
Yeah, coming to this year, I had a couple of things in my mind. So of course, one is to support the chapter. So what material we can provide that will make your life easier. So we did already last autumn this Leo guide, and unfortunately it was not in English yet, but next autumn it will be. So it's being translated now. It's quite a long document. So then later on there's going to be that material. And then I have invited everybody, every Leo, the local communications person, to our teams. So if they want to take advantage of that, I think it's great. I think you've asked questions there, which is really nice, super. And to our meetings as well, if you want to really be part of us and see what we do really. So that's definitely possible. And then like all this branding and graphics work that we can help do the cleaning of the logos and all these kind of things that we need to do. So it's the help the chapters always. That's one theme. But one main theme for me was continue the branding work. Last year started with this new brand image, and last year we did kind of a lot of foundational work. So we set up the new magazine, the Johtaja, the Leader magazine, and so it was our task this year to, you know, keep the momentum and make the magazine good. And I'm really happy for the first number. I think it's fulfilling that. And at the same time, we managed to finalize a project started last year, which is the digital leader magazine. So that is now online as well. And I think this is actually a very powerful channel for us as an organization, because we have this really nice magazine, digital magazine, and we can actually develop also partnerships around it now, us and all the chapters if you want. So that and in relation to that, I developed these media packages now. We haven't had those for a few years, maybe. Sometime back there were, but this year, so we created like a new new set of different packages that all the chapters can sell as well as part of your partnerships if your partners would like access to our national channels, which is meaningful for many companies, because then you can say that, okay, here is a package access for you to this 5,000 members, you know, and this is what you get for this amount of money. And then in those partnerships deals, it's like a profit split. So you get part, we get part, and happy days. So that's one thing I did as well. So it's kind of like a support and then be the really like a strong branding topic. And we did one like a new members campaign already in January, because I was thinking that new year is a new time for people. They think, oh, what should I do this year? So I think it was a good time. But now, of course, with the corona still a bit ongoing, and I think the next really good time will be autumn. So maybe early September or something like that. We want to do another even bigger campaign, because hopefully we got some shots to a lot of people by then, and we can actually meet, you know, and organize events and things like that. So I think it will be great time to boost us as an organization, get new members, and then have these events. And maybe people are really bored in sitting inside a house, you know, and they want to meet people. So I'm planning that we'll have a really big campaign in the autumn then also nationally for us. So things like this.
Yeah, that's actually very fantastic to hear. And the new member campaign, I actually liked it. I used some of the materials from the January new member campaign to make video for our chapter's anniversary.
That's really good. Yeah, you can always use those. Yeah.
Yeah, those materials are quite helpful, I would say. And like you mentioned, there's actually a lot of help from different corners. This is my first board position, so I do not have any previous experience which I can relate to. But at least for now, I have been getting all the help, and I have, like you mentioned, certain documents are in Finnish and not available in English. But that hasn't been a problem to me, because people are giving me whatever information I need in the language I can understand. So that help itself has been very motivating for me. It's like, I don't know, should I say it's very kind and heart touching?
Oh, well, it's really nice to hear, because I wish we had more material in English. It's a passion of mine. I think we should have more members who don't speak Finnish, and it should be okay. So I want to boost that as well. So this year we'll also have our website in English, by the way. It's almost there. So
We'll look forward to it. And
yes.
and I really like the digital magazine. I watched it, the latest one. It was good. And also there was a post about this podcast, and one of my members shared it with me. I'm like, okay, this is good.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and I asked some of my chapter members if they have some questions to you, and here are two questions which I think I already mentioned to you, but I'll ask it again. What do you suggest are the best practices for the chapter to handle the communication, or probably even for the communication officers? How can they handle the communications?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because actually oftentimes it is the first board position even. I don't know why. And it's such a crucial one, you know. And then you come in, you are new, and you are like, a lot of things are new, and trying to get your head around it. And then suddenly you find out that, oh, there's a lot of things to be done here. Oh, what can I do? So I suggest, if possible, try to get yourself like a small mini team. Even if you have 1-2 persons, in addition to you, it will help. And it might be really nice little task for somebody in the chapter. You're asking, help me with social media, make me some nice posts, sometimes something like this. It's not too much to ask. So if there are people who have a little bit of time but don't want to be board members full time or anything like that, you could kind of bring them into your own little mini team and have like a communications team. And it depends on you and those people, that how you want to split these tasks. But I've heard some success stories on this, that if there's like a little group, so it's not only you. And another one is that communications is not only your responsibility. Everybody in your board should actually share that burden. So they shouldn't be like, oh, it's communications. Okay, Lakshmi, here you go. You need to do it. Like, no. So they need to also share some of the responsibility, provide some ready materials. You don't need to write everything, definitely not. They can also take pictures. They can also do stuff. So you can say them, okay, hey, you are going to do this event, please, make a post and things like that. So you can kind of have them share some of that responsibility. It should be.
I would say, fortunately, some of these practices are existing in our chapter, which I would say is a great help to me. Like you mentioned, we have a small team for communication, and then for the newsletter, and then we have Loam, then Int. So if they have events under their wing, they write the descriptions for those events. So I do just the job of compiling, and then there's a person who proofreads it. So yeah, I think having a small team really helps. And there are a lot of times when with communications, there are these tiny errors which you would miss it out because you're reading it frequently and you're tired. But I think when there's a fresh eyes, they can point it out. So in that way, having a team is really good.
Yeah, and actually, I also have a proofreader now. I think I haven't heard there ever before being that. Maybe there was, but I didn't hear about it. So now I have one person who loves to, look at little dots and stuff. So it's good.
Okay. It's interesting to hear. Sharing of same passion with proofreading.
Yeah, I know I can't do it. I'm really bad at that, really bad. So I need somebody who's good, who can help me.
I know that feeling. Okay. And I was actually fascinated by your introduction and different positions and how you said it was a different learning. What would you say to any JCI member, like how they can find themselves within JCI community, how they can grow or find different positions? You mentioned that you were in the marketing team of JCI Estonia. So I don't know if a lot of us think beyond our local chapter or national chapter, but what would you say?
Yeah, this is a really interesting organization, but also challenging, because in theory, you can do a lot of things, but how do you navigate and find that way? But I think it comes from having a bit of courage to experiment and try to, spread the wings a little bit and go and do positions that you're not so familiar with. So that's, of course, basic learning. But then there are quite a lot of different roles available outside your chapter as well. So if you follow, especially in the autumn time, after they have the elections, for each of the board members and what all of those, then those board members, like me, we will gather a team. And then that team is like JCI Finland level team, and you get to meet people from different chapters and, look at the JCI Finland perspective on everything. So there are a lot of interesting opportunities in this kind of teams. And then there are projects that are maybe national projects or regional projects. There you can also find some things to do. This year, there has been JCI Labs run by our deputy president, and they're really going into the heart of what we do, like about budgeting, about the board composition, etc. And they're actually having now a big impact because there is going to be new roles next year. It was just decided last weekend. So you can have big impact and different learnings like this. And now then, if we think about internationally, similarly there are, but that is maybe a little bit more hidden from the ordinary members, maybe. But to get started, I would say go to one of the congresses, like European Congress or World Congress or those. when we can, of course, like when we actually can really. The online ones are pretty good, but the networking that you do when you are physically there is still more than you can do this way. So I have been to Japan, for example, and I did meet some really interesting people there. And then you can hear about different opportunities that might be there and different events and things like that. But that takes a bit activism on your side, for example. And then if you've had a lot of experiences in our organization and different roles, then it might be that you can be a trainer and you can train in the World Congress. Actually, I was training there as well. And then I was training in the Estonia COC Academy 1 year and things like that. So those were just really special to me, really special. So you get to do these things, but it takes time, and it of course takes work and learning from yourself. It doesn't come for like quite easily necessarily. So, but I encourage to do that.
Okay, this is so good to hear. Like, I don't want to interrupt, and it's okay if you take your time and go on with this. This is very nice. Okay, so now that with different positions, here's one question. I would start with the latest or the current position. What has been your biggest learnings or any learnings in this national communication officer position?
Yep, that's also a good one. And like even after all these years, you'd think that yes, I already know. No. Well, I do think that you never know everything. And for me, the biggest learning was something that I got as advice from my predecessor. So Mari Männistö was in this role last year, and she said to me, Anni, if you are actually doing something, you are yourself doing a lot of things, then you are doing things wrong. It's like, what are you talking about? And it's true, because I thought that I would have more capacity to do social media, for example. No. In this role, you don't have time to do, like hear me writing some posts every day. It can't happen because there are so many things coming my way all the time, and it's just impossible. So in this role, you have to think how you organize the team, how you set up the team for success, how you help the team and like get everybody doing wonderful job, and then try to kind of manage all the stuff that is thrown at you, and surprise board meetings and requests and this and that and everything that just comes your way, and try to be there for the team. So that's my learning, that I should have first listened. But now, of course, I can also make adjustments during the year, and we can improve, and we can get people new roles and things like that. So then that's your responsibility as a leader, that if you notice that something is not working, then you need to think about how to solve it and go and solve. So that's what I've done so far.
Okay, and so you if you're doing everything by yourself, that is wrong, which is actually a very wise advice. So now that if you have a team, how do you motivate your team? So how do you get people, I shouldn't say get people to do things, because this is fun and hobby. How can they stay motivated? Because this is, let's say it's a hobby, and people have their own personal and professional life. So how can you motivate people to be part of it?
Well, of course, I'd like to think that yes, everybody is like 100% every moment, but it's not true. And actually, like accepting the fact that there's going to be ups and downs, and people have lives, and this is not more important than their actual families or day jobs or anything like that. It's rather through encouragement and then support, because if something happens, and it's my job then to think, okay, how do we organize? It's okay if this week you can't do something, that's fine, let's find a way around it, and always be kind of encouraging and understand this. And then of course celebrate successes, that if we do some great things, then we have to be really happy about it. But really, like, just because you're right, like if people don't want to do this, they will not do it. We don't pay anybody, so you can't really say that money is motivating me to come to work every day. No, it has to be fun, and there has to be this element of, I'm doing fun stuff with nice people. And that's how I like to see this, and it's been that way for me. So I hope my team feels the same. I don't know. You can ask.
But those are very wise words, like fun and motivation. They have to go hand in hand. Yeah, and nice people, like comfortable with everyone in the team. That's a key learning which I would take from this.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now we spoke about team motivation and handling. So I would ask you, uh, on the personal level, how were you able to manage all these different positions, different learnings, and then your professional life and then the personal life? So has it been overwhelming at any point of time? Did you ever think that I need a break from this? So how did you manage them?
Yeah, and I have to add to this that I have this, of course, day job. I have three boys, three little boys as well,
Okay,
and
now
a
like
husband.
okay,
So, so you are right that it is a lot, and it's a lot to ask from my family as well. That almost every day at this
mhm.
position requires every day something, and and well, maybe I'll reverse back a little bit. So you ask, has there been a time when I really felt like I needed a break? Yes, there has been, and sometimes there has been quite lows. Maybe the most energy draining was the national election conference. After that, I was almost like saying that I'll never do anything again. It was quite stressful, that part. But then if you feel like that, you need to kind of really take a break somehow. So don't take any responsibilities. Just, relax and try to enjoy things that you like. Something, it can be outside JCI, whatever you like, just, do that and focus on yourself or family or whatever like that. And kind of slowly have a look how you feel. And then it took me like maybe 4, 3, something like several months. I was trying to just, take it easy. But then I noticed that I was still like, oh, but I'm a bit curious now again. So maybe something different, maybe something a bit more relaxing. And then I was applied for the JCI Estonia marketing. So, but it was, in a sense, it was relaxing because I was a team member, not a leader. So it wasn't my responsibility to handle everything. And I just, get to do stuff. Anni, would you do this or that and that? And I get to kind of do those things. And it was fun and it was fine. But then when it comes to like chapter presidency or this kind of national role, I think you have to agree in your home, in the family, with the husband or wife, that is it okay, and say that it will take time. But my husband supports me because he sees that this also makes me happy somehow, and it helps me grow, and I'm smiley and things like that. So he does support me, even though he's like, what about me? So it's hard. It is hard. It's not easy, but just like this interesting things with nice people. This makes me keep going, basically. So.
Yeah, this is like so nice to hear. Yeah, the support from the family and your loved ones, that's very important. And I'm very glad that you could share this. Okay, and oh, it's been 45 minutes. Sorry, I
Yeah,
lost track
yeah.
of time.
Mhm.
Um, well, I would love to continue talking because this has been very interesting. But some reason, because of the time constraint, I might have to end somewhere here now. But before we end, is there anything that you would like to share or tell, or something in your mind that you think we missed out?
Well, I would like to thank you first of all for inviting me here. It's really nice to talk with you, and maybe we can talk later more. Um, well, I think I did mention a lot of things, and I just would like to say that this is really a wonderful hobby, but it's not an easy hobby necessarily. So I do hope that everybody, finds their angle to this hobby, because there are many. You can be a trainer, you can, do the board stuff or projects, or just, hang out with friends. I hope you can find your angle, and it makes you happy and you get something from it. But really, because we are here to little bit challenge ourselves, sometimes it's not easy. So it's a rewarding but challenging organization, I would say.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's like the sinusoidal wave. There are ups and downs, but always make sure the balance is not lost. So fantastic. And thank you, Annie, for sharing all this experience and learning. This has been, I'm thinking of a better word. Like, this has been like the fire episode or
Okay.
full of energy, because I'm feeling motivated talking to you, and I really enjoy talking to you. And thank you for being on this show. This has been great. And I'm just thinking if I have anything else to add to it. No,
No,
I'm just
you know,
mesmerized by your.
just keep going, Lakshmi. I think you are doing a great job, and there's a podcast, and I've seen your social media things going on. So great job, really good. So keep going.
Thank you, and thank you once again.